Hello, I am Dale Wiebe, the director at Winkler Bible Camp. I'm here co-directing. I do this with my wife Candace as well, and we've been here at Winkler Bible Camp for 23 years. And we just finished our 23rd summer at camp. It's been an awesome deal, and with me I have Ruth Wiebe, who was here before that. Ruth, when did you show up at Winkler Bible Camp?
Well, pretty much at the beginning of the camp itself. I was one of the campers that was here when the building or the camp itself was started.
That would have been in 1949 when Ruth was here. So this is a long time ago, and it's an awesome privilege that we have a first-time camper here with us today.
Oh, that first year we were in a cabin that had only screens, and it was chilly. And I know that my mother had to bring some more blankets for me because we were not too comfortable in that cabin. But we had a great time and made good friends.
You had the cabin with the screen, but then you also went to the basement of the school to eat?
Oh, yes. We always, at our meal time, we lined up with all the rest of the campers, and we walked over to the Burwaldy School, which was here on site at that time, and then we went into the basement of that school to have our meals and do the dishes there as well.
So you had to do the dishes?
Yes, we did have to do the dishes.
There probably weren't near as many activities either, so then dishes were probably one of the activities, right?
Of course, and it was great fun, I guess. I don't really recall all the details of that. But
So did your mom bring you blankets?
yes, my mom brought me blankets and was well accepted.
Okay, I have a question. How did you get a hold of them? Because you didn't text them. And how did you get a hold of Mom in 1949?
Well, we did have telephones. Imagine that. And I don't know if they were dialed or not.
That was the beginning of the camp, and I think if I remember correctly, the numbers were for that first summer around 200 children that came from different parts. I know that some came all the way from Boissevain and Killarney, and even in the back of pickup trucks, and so they would kind of gather in communities and come together in clusters. What were some of the activities that you did back then in 1949?
You know, that memory is pretty vague.
You had fun.
We did. We enjoyed our time. And I think it was a longer period of time than they do now.
Yeah, it might have been 7 days full for like a Sunday night to a Sunday afternoon type of thing, or a Monday morning to a Sunday afternoon. The camp originally was founded out of the Winkler Bible Institute through the Winkler MB congregation. So that affiliation there was where that all began, where people just felt we needed to do a camp thing. Actually, historically, many of the camps in Canada started right after World War II, where there was a time of peace, and then they just felt they needed to find places and locations that were out of the norm, not where we're going to work and farm and do business, but beautiful locations on lakes and forests and in the bush. And the Burwaldy Woods is kind of one of these unique spots here in southern Manitoba, and the only reason it's here is because we have oak trees. Otherwise we'd be a bean field. And so they used this beautiful little oak spot to set up a camp, and that began with the Winkler MB conference, not officially affiliated but unofficially. And so that's where it began, and they drove around the country, and I know that they looked at a few different properties to see where they could start a camp, and this is the one with Mr. Peters, and Mr. Peters gave them the property to use for a number of years, and then eventually they bought a piece, and slowly we've been building it up, and now we have about 75 acres here.
As an aside from that comment there, our leaders at that time, the men, wore suits.
Some of your B-roll footage that you would see will have people doing suits and chalkboards and flannel graphs and piano, and everybody singing. The girls would have all been wearing dresses, and the boys would have all been wearing pants and shirts, and they played baseball without gloves. And yeah, it was pretty Limited, pretty simple. It's a little different now.
Absolutely. I don't know how many years I attended. I know a few. But all my children have been at this camp. Some have met their future spouses here, and that's been a great thing in our whole family.
You've also got grandchildren that met their spouses here.
That is true. Yes, my grandchildren have been also in what they used to have is the LDP leadership camp, and they were attending that. And they've been as counselors as well. And a great legacy in spiritual is some of my children became Christians at this camp as well.
This past summer, her great-grandchild was working at camp here too. It was fun to see generational families like this. And over the years, I've had lots of conversations with elderly people where their grandchildren are here and they were here and then they might have been board members here. So there's a lot of pieces that I get to hear over the years where it just adds the color to the story. But there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have been involved in the last 75 years of keeping this camp running. It's been no one individual, but it's been many, many people praying and giving and volunteering and supporting and being part of this ministry. The model of camping is very impactful. So when you take children for almost a week at a time out of their normal culture, out of their home settings, take away the phone, take away the things that distract them, and they're with the same group, with the same people all week long, it's very impactful. There's so much life-changing activity that goes on here spiritually in a summer camp. And it's amazing to see how kids change. So that the model of camp, I think, will still always be impactful. As it grows, I think right now we're in a spot as well where so many more things to do. So if we're going to compare 1949 and what they did for activities versus now, it's not comparable. We have a lot more going on. The kids at home also have a lot more going on. And then we still try to create an atmosphere here that's unique to that. It's not iPads and TVs and cell phones and social media. It's different. It's activities that are group-centered, that are relational-centered, relational-based, so that these children come away with social skills and experiences that they don't have at home. And so the impact of camp, I think the importance of camp, the model of camp is always going to remain valuable and impactful.
Well, I think it's very important to have this place here. I would be very sad if it ever closed down. And being local or being close to this area has drawn a lot of different people into this community of believers, and but a big challenge for them all.
Something I've seen in the business community over the years is when people have worked at camp and camp is on their resume, that they notice that. I've actually had a number of businessmen come to me and say, if I could get all of your camp staff, I'd just keep hiring them. Because if they see that, if they were a counselor at Winkler Bible Camp, if they worked at Winkler Bible Camp for a number of years, they're going, okay, you just kind of get fast-tracked to the top of the list. Because there's so many things that you learn. When you're dealing with kids 24 hours a day and you're trying to manage these little lives and do this as a 17-year-old or 18-year-old leading a cabin, there's a lot going on. One thing that I always hear too, every year, year after year, for 23 years we've heard this, where parents will say, thank you for letting my kid work or my child work at camp because that changed them. So there's two lines here. It's the children that get the amazing experience of camp, but then there's also the people that serve at camp. And those are teenagers and young adults. That I would always consider as the blood that pulses through. They are the hands and feet. So that peer group and that connection is amazing. And so parents constantly comment about the value of their child working at camp and the experience that it was and the blessing it was for them. And we have a lot going on year-round, but every summer is our deal. The reason we exist is those 2 months in summer to run summer camp. And that first Monday of summer camp, when all of the cars roll on, I kind of think, oh, okay, Lord, this is crazy. We've got all these young people leading these children. This doesn't seem like a risk-free situation. But it is powerful and it's impactful. And so we constantly feel the fact that, okay, God, you got this property. This is your property. Guard it. We're trying to do kingdom work here. This is your business. And often people reflect and look at this place as if God's kind of got this corner here and he's taking care of us. And so that's just the way we handle it. This is God's business. We do the best we can with our ability and our knowledge and our understanding to do well, to make a good thing. But essentially, there's so many things that could go wrong. and we pray, God, we do the best we can, but Lord, this is your deal. Help us to do this well and guard this place. And we do feel that. It feels like God's just got his hand on this corner.